Chinese military general Sun Tzu was a master strategist and philosopher who lived over 2,500 years ago, yet his teachings on leadership, strategy, and success continue to inspire and guide us today. In this video, we will explore Sun Tzu's most famous principles and how they can be applied to achieve greatness in any field. Whether you're a warrior seeking victory on the battlefield, a business leader seeking success in the marketplace, or simply striving to improve your personal effectiveness, Sun Tzu's principles hold the key to your ultimate triumph. So let's discover the timeless wisdom of Sun Tzu. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. The goal of any conflict is to control your opponent and overcome them. This can be achieved, in part, by influencing their perception of your abilities and understanding their assumptions. As Sun Tzu famously said, all warfare is based on deception. Deception includes pretending to be weaker or less knowledgeable than you actually are. By appearing vulnerable or unprepared, you can lure your opponent into making mistakes or reacting in a way that works to your advantage. For instance, creating a scenario where only a small portion of your force is visible can mislead opponents into thinking they outnumber or outarm you. When they prepare an attack under that guise, they will be ill-prepared for the full strength of your forces. Another example is allowing your opponent to win small victories or gains. Your opponent may fall victim to greed or an inflated ego, which will confuse and hinder their strategy when the truth is revealed. Likewise, when you are at your weakest, you are most vulnerable, and this would be an ideal time to harm you. By projecting confidence and competence when you are weak or vulnerable, you can discourage an opponent from attempting to harm you by giving the impression that it would be foolish to do so, thereby stalling until you regain actual power. It's critical not to surrender 100% intelligence about your situation to your enemy. Your enemy will then have the basis for exactly how much force to apply, even if at the moment he may temporarily lack the means. In the unpredictable and constantly changing environment of war, it is important to hold on to and make use of any advantages you have. Always seek to deceive your enemy, even if you wrongly think you don't need to. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. Sun Tzu's principle is a reference to the importance of careful planning and strategy when preparing for battle. By planning ahead, a victorious general can assess their chances of victory and determine the right tactics and strategies to employ in order to succeed in battle. On the other hand, a defeated general may lack the foresight and proper strategies, and thus may be compelled to go to war first and then attempt to turn the tide of battle in their favor. For example, an exam isn't passed or failed when the teacher hands out the paper. An athletic competition isn't won or lost when the referee blows the whistle. An interview isn't aced or bombed when the hiring manager asks the first question. A business doesn't thrive or fail when the doors are open. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. To defeat an enemy, it is necessary to deprive them of their resources and capabilities for making war. This includes not only their soldiers, but also their supplies, infrastructure, and weaponry. It also involves denying them access to necessary resources such as fuel, food, and ammunition, as well as denying them the opportunity to rest and recover through constant distractions and activity. Essentially, the goal is to do everything possible to prevent the enemy from being able to use their war-fighting abilities against your own soldiers. This may include avoiding the enemy altogether if necessary. In 1812, Napoleon's army invaded Russia and captured the city of Moscow. However, upon entering the city, they found it abandoned and soon saw it engulfed in flames, which the French blamed on Russian arsonists. Despite the capture of Moscow, Russia did not offer peace, and Napoleon remained in the city for a month waiting for a peace proposal that never came. Eventually, on October 19, Napoleon and his army were forced to retreat from Moscow. The harsh winter and an epidemic severely weakened Napoleon's troops, with the number of soldiers dwindling from 600,000 in June to fewer than 50,000 by November. The campaign left Napoleon greatly weakened and exposed. To know your enemy, you must become your enemy. Sun Tzu's principle is a reminder that to gain a full understanding of an enemy, one must be willing to take on the perspective of their enemy. This means understanding their motivations, their strengths and weaknesses, their tactics and strategies, and their values. This can only be done through careful observation, research, and even direct conversations with the enemy. By doing this, a general can gain an insight into the enemy, allowing him to devise an effective strategy for defeating them. For example, if the enemy does not take advantage of a chance to gain an advantage, it is likely that they fear. If the enemy needs to be fortified in order to remain strong, they are weak and hungry. If the enemy is handing out a lot of punishments, it is an indication that they are attempting to motivate their exhausted troops. If the enemy's troops are disorganized or anxious, their leader is incompetent. Keep your friends close, and your enemies closer. It is important to be aware of the motivations and intentions of those around you. By keeping your friends close, you should nurture and maintain the relationships that are important to you. By keeping your enemies closer, you should keep a close eye on them so that you can anticipate any moves they may make against you. The closer an enemy is to you, the more intimately you will learn about their capabilities, strengths, weaknesses, tendencies, etc., which can be used to your advantage. Additionally, being aware of the whereabouts of a close enemy will help you be better prepared and less likely to be taken by surprise. At another level, you can learn a great deal about yourself from an enemy. You may realize your capabilities, strengths, weaknesses, and tendencies more clearly in the presence of an enemy, and you can use these insights for learning and growth. By being aware of both your friends and enemies, you can plan accordingly and make decisions that are in your best interests. Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. A successful battle or business plan requires both strategy and tactics. Strategy is the overall plan of action or goal to be achieved, while tactics are the smaller, more specific actions taken to carry out that strategy. Strategy in the business world is about determining the what and why of your actions. It involves creating a plan for why you are taking certain actions and what those actions should be in order to achieve your ultimate goals. Tactics in the business world refer to the how of implementing a strategy. They involve making decisions about the specific actions. This can include determining the costs involved, who should be responsible for taking action, and when and where those actions should be taken. When the enemy is relaxed, make them toil. When full, starve them. When settled, make them move. This is a strategic approach to warfare that involves taking advantage of the enemy's weaknesses and vulnerabilities in order to gain the upper hand. It suggests that by being constantly aware of the enemy's current state and position, you can develop a strategy that will cause them difficulty and disruption. In the context of warfare, when the enemy is relaxed, might refer to a time when they are not expecting an attack or when they are not at their highest state of alertness. In this situation, Sun Tzu suggests that you should take action to disrupt their relaxation and make them work harder. This could involve launching an attack, or taking some other action that forces the enemy to respond and defend themselves. Similarly, when full might refer to a time when the enemy has plenty of resources, such as food or supplies. In this situation, you should try to cut off their access to these resources, in order to weaken them and put them at a disadvantage. Finally, when settled refers to a time when the enemy is comfortably settled in a particular location. In this situation, you should take action to disrupt their stability and force them to move. This could involve launching an attack on their position. Treat your men as you would your own beloved sons, and they will follow you into the deepest valley. It is a statement about the importance of treating one's soldiers with respect and care. This leads to strong loyalty and willingness to follow orders, even in difficult or dangerous situations. It also helps to maintain morale and keep them motivated to perform their duties. Let's look at an example from a great leader. Alexander the Great is famously known for a story about his army crossing the desert Gedrosia, during which they all suffered from a lack of water. At one point, a few soldiers found a small pond and brought its water to Alexander in a helmet. Rather than drinking it himself, Alexander is said to have poured the water out, stating that if there wasn't enough water for everyone, then none of them should drink it, including himself. A leader leads by example, not by force. A leader is someone who inspires others to follow their lead, not through coercion or intimidation, but through the power of their own personal example. This kind of leader shows, rather than tells. They demonstrate the values and behaviors that they wish to see in their followers, and they do so with unwavering integrity and dedication. They lead with grace and poise, always striving to do the right thing, even when it is difficult or unpopular. Like an effective general, a business leader, manager, or supervisor must lead by example. Simply pushing your people in a direction without standing next to them in the trenches is a surefire path towards defeat. Make certain you follow the same rules and regulations you expect those you lead to follow and take part in the same daily duties when feasible. If not, you may need to refortify your troops long before the next battle is waged. Be extremely subtle, even to the point of formlessness. Be extremely mysterious, even to the point of soundlessness. Thereby you can be the director of the opponent's fate. It is important to be so subtle that your opponent is unable to detect any form of movement or sound from you. This way, you can manipulate the outcome of the situation in your favor and let your opponent reveal their own weaknesses or vulnerabilities. Imagine that you are a sales manager at a company that is competing with a rival firm for a lucrative contract. In order to win the contract, you need to outmaneuver your competitor and present a more appealing proposal to the client. One way you could apply Sun Tzu's principle in this situation would be to be extremely subtle and mysterious in your interactions with the client. Rather than openly talking about your company's strengths and selling points, you could try to gather information about the client's needs and preferences through subtle questioning and observation. By being stealthy and elusive, you can avoid giving away too much information about your own proposal and instead let your competitor reveal their own weaknesses or vulnerabilities. At the same time, you could also be extremely mysterious in your interactions with your competitor. Rather than openly competing with them, you could try to obscure your intentions and actions, making it difficult for them to predict what you are planning. This gives you an advantage, as your competitor becomes more hesitant and unsure of themselves, while you are able to gather valuable information and position yourself for success. Move swift as the wind and closely formed as the wood. Attack like the fire and be still as the mountain. This principle explains a strategic approach to warfare or business that emphasizes the importance of adaptability and flexibility. It suggests that in order to succeed in battle, you must be able to adapt your tactics and strategies to the changing circumstances of the conflict. The metaphor of moving swift as the wind suggests that you should be able to move quickly and efficiently, adapting to the changing landscape and taking advantage of any opportunities that present themselves. Similarly, being closely formed as the wood suggests that you should be able to work together as a team, coordinating your actions and supporting one another in order to achieve your goals. At the same time, Sun Tzu's principle also encourages aggression and decisiveness when needed. Attacking like the fire suggests that you should be able to take decisive action and be aggressive when the situation calls for it. And, being still as the mountain suggests that you should also be able to remain calm and collected, even in the face of danger or uncertainty. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. This is a strategic approach that emphasizes the importance of secrecy and surprise. To succeed in battle, you should keep your plans hidden from your enemies and spring them upon them unexpectedly. The metaphor of dark and impenetrable as night suggests that you should be able to keep your plans hidden and obscure, making it difficult for your enemies to anticipate or prepare for your actions. At the same time, when you move, fall like a thunderbolt suggests that when you do take action, you should do so decisively and with great speed and force, catching your enemies off guard and overwhelming them with your surprise attack. In business, for example, it might suggest the importance of keeping your plans and strategies secret from your competitors in order to gain a competitive advantage. In personal development, it might encourage you to keep your goals and aspirations private, working towards them in secret until you are ready to take decisive action. You have to believe in yourself. For Sun Tzu, the key to success and victory in any endeavor is the ability to believe in oneself, to have confidence in one's own abilities and strengths, and to act with conviction and determination. To believe in oneself is to embrace one's own unique gifts and talents, and to have the courage and the conviction to pursue one's dreams and goals with all of one's heart. It is to have the faith and the resilience to overcome any obstacle or challenge that may stand in one's way. For Sun Tzu, belief in oneself is an essential quality for any leader. It is the foundation upon which all great accomplishments are built, and it is the key to inspiring and motivating others to greatness. If your enemy is secure at all points, be prepared for him. If he is in superior strength, evade him. If your opponent is temperamental, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant. If he is taking his ease, give him no rest. If his forces are united, separate them. If sovereign and subject are in accord, put division between them. Attack him where he is unprepared, appear where you are not expected. Adaptability and deception are key in achieving success and victory in any endeavor. This principle emphasizes the importance of being prepared for any situation, and that you should be ready to adapt your tactics and strategies in order to gain an advantage over your enemy. Rest is essential for everyone, even when one is vigilant and ready to fight. Fighting can be very tiring, and one way to weaken your opponent is to constantly harry and pick at them. Random small attacks creates uncertainty and keeps them tense. In this way, a small and nimble army can defeat a much larger army. Guerrilla war is one such method. Concentrated forces are very difficult to defeat as frontline troops can quickly be replaced with reinforcements. If you can break them into parts or spread them out along a long front, removing the ability to reinforce, then a single, small victory can provide you with a powerful gain. In this way, divide and conquer is a common and powerful strategy. It's also possible to gain advantage over the opponent by irritating them in order to throw them off balance. Do not attack in force where the enemy is strongest, although keeping stronger forces can be helpful while you throw a fierce attack at weak corners elsewhere. As with other suggestions, Sun Tzu makes use of surprise to keep the enemy in a state of confusion and uncertainty. If the mind is willing, the flesh could go on and on without many things. If the will of the mind is strong and unyielding, the body can continue to persevere, even amidst the most arduous of conditions. It can endure without the comforts of the world, and push past all the obstacles that lie in its path. The strength of the human spirit is a formidable force, capable of overcoming any challenge that life may bring. With a determined mindset, the flesh can go on, and strive beyond what was once thought imaginable. Unlocking the reason why you are striving for something great and keeping this in mind as you pursue it will help you become unstoppable. It can be difficult to endure the difficulties that come with striving for greatness, but if you can keep the bigger picture in sight, it will help you to bear the pain. Even the finest sword plunged into salt water will eventually rust. Even the most powerful and influential people and things can be affected by external forces. Being complacent is a man's greatest foe. This includes avoiding the gym, hitting the snooze button, and not striving to increase one's income. Although you may be the top of your field, don't allow yourself to become complacent. Don't view your successes as a final stop, but rather as a stepping stone to something even greater. Push yourself to continue seeking out new challenges in order to stay at the peak of your game and keep your skills sharp. Engage people with what they expect. It is what they are able to discern and confirms their projections. It settles them into predictable patterns of response, occupying their minds while you wait for the extraordinary moment, that which they cannot anticipate. Sun Tzu's principle is advocating for a strategy of using people's expectations and projections to your advantage. The idea is to give people what they expect, or what they think they want, in order to keep them occupied and focused on the predictable. This allows you to prepare and wait for the moment that they cannot anticipate and use it to your advantage. By engaging people with what they expect, you can control the narrative and shape it to your liking, thus giving you the upper hand. Through this strategy, you can use people's expectations and projections to manipulate the situation and move it in the direction that you want. Businesses often offer similar experiences to customers, with price being the main difference between them. This leads to a sense of complacency, where competitors settle into predictable patterns. To stand out, companies should aim to create moments of surprise, which can give them a great advantage over their rivals. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Knowing yourself and your opponent is key to succeed in battle. By understanding both your own capabilities and those of your opponent, you plan your strategy and tactics. If one has such knowledge, one can apply the strategic and tactical principles in the art of war and achieve some kind of success in every confrontation. If the enemy is stronger, one can avoid battle by retreating. When outnumbered, gaining an advantageous position can give one the edge they need. If all else fails, one can make a last stand, inflicting serious damage on the enemy and unifying the nation in the process. On the other hand, if you do not know your enemy, you are likely to be overwhelmed by their strategies and suffer defeat. If you fail to understand your own strengths and weaknesses, you are easily defeated. Thus we may know that there are 5 essentials for victory. 1. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. 2. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. 3. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all its ranks. 4. He will win who prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. 5. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. There are 5 essentials for victory. 1. Knowing when to fight and when not to fight. This refers to the importance of being able to assess the situation and determine the most appropriate course of action. Sometimes, it may be more beneficial to avoid conflict or to negotiate a settlement rather than engaging in battle. 2. Knowing how to handle both superior and inferior forces. This refers to the ability to adapt to different situations and to use one's resources effectively, regardless of whether one is facing a stronger or weaker opponent. 3. Having an army that is united and motivated. This refers to the importance of having a cohesive and motivated fighting force. A united and motivated army is more likely to succeed than one that is divided or unmotivated. 4. Being prepared and waiting for the enemy to be unprepared. This refers to the importance of being ready for battle and taking advantage of opportunities when the enemy is not fully prepared. 5. Having military capacity and being free from interference from the sovereign. This refers to the importance of having the resources and support necessary to carry out a successful military campaign, as well as being able to operate without interference from political leaders. There are not more than 5 musical notes, yet the combinations of these 5 give rise to more melodies than can ever be heard. There are not more than 5 primary colors, yet in combination they produce more hues than can ever been seen. There are not more than 5 cardinal tastes, yet combinations of them yield more flavors than can ever be tasted. Sun Tzu's quote is a metaphor for the endless possibilities that can arise from a relatively small set of elements. It suggests that even with a limited number of options, the combinations and variations that can be created are vast and seemingly endless, and there is great potential for creativity and innovation. It encourages us to think beyond the limitations of what we have and consider the endless possibilities that can arise from combining and arranging those elements in new and creative ways. This idea can be applied to many different fields and contexts, from music and art to business strategy. For example, imagine a company that sells organic, fair trade coffee. The company may have only a few core products, such as whole bean coffee, ground coffee, and single-serve pods. However, There are many different ways in which these products can be marketed and sold. The company could sell directly to consumers through an online store, or it could partner with local retailers to reach a wider audience. It could offer subscription plans or one-time purchases, and it could offer different packaging options, such as reusable tins or compostable pods. By considering the various combinations and arrangements of these elements, the company can find new and innovative ways to reach and serve its customers. Opportunities multiply as they are seized. This principle suggests that taking action and making the most of opportunities as they arise leads to even more opportunities in the future. It encourages a proactive approach to seizing opportunities, rather than waiting for them to come to you. For example, if you are given the opportunity to take on a new project at work, or to learn a new skill, seizing these opportunities can lead to even more opportunities in the future. By demonstrating your ability to take on new challenges and succeed, you may be given even more opportunities to grow and advance in your career. This principle can also be applied more broadly to life in general. By being open to new experiences and actively seeking out opportunities, you will find that more and more opportunities present themselves to you over time. This can help you to continually grow and evolve, and to achieve your goals and aspirations. Know yourself and you will win all battles. Self-awareness and self-understanding are essential for success in any endeavor, including warfare. It encourages us to take the time to understand our own strengths, weaknesses, and motivations, and to use this self-knowledge to our advantage in any situation. This quote can be applied to many different contexts, beyond just warfare. In business, for example, understanding your own strengths and weaknesses can help you to make informed decisions about which opportunities to pursue and how to best position yourself for success. In personal development, self-awareness can help you to understand your own values and goals, and to make choices that align with these values and goals. In general, self-awareness can help you to better understand and navigate the world around you. By knowing yourself, you can better anticipate your own reactions and responses to different situations, and you can develop strategies that take into account your own strengths and limitations. This can give you a significant advantage in any situation, and can help you to achieve your goals and succeed in whatever you set out to do. When strong, avoid them. If of high morale, depress them. Seem humble to fill them with conceit. If at ease, exhaust them. If united, separate them. Attack their weaknesses. Emerge to their surprise. This principle is self-explanatory and advises to consider the enemy's strengths and weaknesses, and to use those factors to your advantage. When strong, avoid them. This means that if the enemy is stronger than you, it is best to avoid confrontation and find another way to achieve your goals. If of high morale, depress them. If the enemy is confident and morale is high, you must try to undermine their confidence and demoralize them. Seem humble to fill them with conceit. This means that you can appear humble or submissive to the enemy to make them overconfident. This is a way to lull them into a false sense of security and make them vulnerable to attack. If at ease, exhaust them. If the enemy is relaxed and unprepared, you need to try to wear them down by prolonging the conflict and using tactics that will tire them out. If united, separate them. If the enemy is united and working together effectively, you must try to divide them by exploiting any internal conflicts or differences. Attack their weaknesses. Identify and target the enemy's weaknesses to gain an advantage. Emerge to their surprise. Choose a time and place for your attack that will catch the enemy off guard and give you the element of surprise. All warfare is based on deception. Hence, when able to attack, we must seem unable; when using our forces, we must seem inactive; when we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away; when far away, we must make him believe we are near. Deception is a fundamental aspect of warfare. It advises the reader to use deception to mislead the enemy and gain an advantage in battle. It suggests using tactics such as appearing unable to attack when you are able to, appearing inactive when you are using your forces, and making the enemy believe you are closer or farther away than you actually are in order to mislead them and surprise them with your actions. Imagine a company is competing against another company for a contract with a new client. The first company could make it seem as though they are not interested in the contract, even though they are actively pursuing it. This might make the other company underestimate the first company's interest in the contract and lower their guard. The first company could also make it seem as though they are not actively working on their proposal, when in fact they are secretly putting a lot of effort into it. This might make the other company believe that they are not a strong competitor, and they might not put as much effort into their proposal. By using deception and misdirection, the first company could potentially gain an advantage. There is no instance of a country having benefited from prolonged warfare. The prolonged warfare is generally not beneficial for a country and that it can have a range of negative consequences. Prolonged warfare is costly in terms of lives lost, resources consumed, and damage to infrastructure and the economy. In addition, it disrupts the normal functioning of a society and lead to the breakdown of social, political, and economic systems. Sun Tzu's principle suggests that prolonged warfare is generally not beneficial for a country and that it is important to find ways to avoid conflicts or win the war as soon as possible. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. There are a few ways that victory can be won without the need for battle. Firstly, deterrence is a strategy that involves making it clear to an enemy that the costs of attacking will be higher than the potential benefits. This can be achieved through the use of military or economic power, or by demonstrating a strong commitment to defending against an attack. Secondly, isolating an enemy weakens their ability to engage in conflict. This can be achieved through a variety of means, such as economic sanctions, diplomatic isolation, or cutting off access to resources. Thirdly, infiltration involves secretly placing agents or allies within the enemy's ranks in order to gather intelligence, influence their decisions, or disrupt their operations. This can be an effective way to undermine the enemy's strength and capabilities from within. Lastly, co-opting an enemy involves convincing them to join your side or align their interests with yours. This can be achieved through offering incentives or making compromises. Build your opponent a golden bridge to retreat across. This principle suggests that you should always make the option of avoiding or surrendering during conflict more appealing to your enemy. Even if you have the power to defeat your opponent, it is beneficial to allow them the possibility to retreat in order to conserve your resources, time, and money. During times of war, you can achieve this by aggressively executing a relentless effort to make them pay a higher price than expected for choosing the path of war. During times of calm, you can achieve this by remaining vigilant, arming your forces well, and training them. When you surround an army, leave an outlet free. Do not press a desperate foe too hard. The goal of warfare is not to kill the enemy, but to defeat them. When an enemy is completely surrounded and has no chance to escape, they may become desperate and fight with even greater ferocity, leading to greater casualties and losses on both sides. However, if an outlet is left open for the enemy to retreat or surrender, many may take the opportunity to do so, and even those who don't may become disheartened at seeing their fellows give up. This can lead to minimizing casualties. We hope that you have gained a greater understanding of the timeless wisdom contained in the art of war and how it can be applied in both personal and professional contexts. Remember, Sun Tzu's teachings are not just about winning battles, but about achieving victory through strategic thinking and effective leadership. We encourage you to continue learning and applying these principles in your own life starting from today. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, please consider clicking the like button and subscribing to the channel.